Hey everyone, I may have found the greatest, lightest bronzer for super pale girls in the entire world today, and I have it on. Also, another super great product from Urban Decay, Illuminizer. It is the most illuminating, blurring, beautiful powder ever. I have found my holy grail powder and my holy grail bronzer, finally. So I have tried 95 million different bronzers. I have a whole drawer full of them, and every time I'll get one and I'll get closer to perfection. I think this one that I have today is absolute perfection for super, super pale women. That is the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Bronzer. The color I have is called Nude Bronze Light. So I have another bronzer from Hourglass. It is not a good color for me. This one is so incredibly nude and so light. The color on it is just incredibly pale. It's the palest bronzer I've ever run across that is not peach or orange at all. There is no peachiness. It is a very light, neutral brown. Absolute favorite bronzer. If you are even paler than me, this is going to work. I cannot believe I'm saying that because no bronzers ever work for people who are as pale as me or paler. So here's what it looks like. It is, of course, marbled. It is, of course, an ambient. It has bronzer mixed in with one of their ambient light sort of illuminators in there. You get plenty of product. It is domed up. I did have to put on quite a bit, and I have been the last few days I've been using this. I have to put on quite a bit to even be able to see it. So therefore, it is going to even work for paler women. Here's another Hourglass Ambient bronzer that I have that I thought was okay. It's just a little orangier. This one is the Luminous Bronze Light, and I will show you what these two look like on the hand. You can see that this one is quite a bit more neutral. This one is very sort of warmish. This one is more of a taupey, grayer color, and this one is more of a warm orangey. Let me show you on the back of my hand. I'm actually going to show you on the inside of my wrist where it is really, really pale. So here is the previous bronzer I had from them, the Luminous Bronze Light. It is very glittery as well. This new bronzer is not glittery. It has a gleam to it, but it is not glittery. So that is the Bronze Light. This is the Nude Bronze Light. This one is quite a bit more matte. The other one is very sparkly. You can see side by side here, this is the Nude and this is the previous one, how sparkly the previous one is and how matte this new one is. Now this new one is super pale. You may have to pour it on your skin to get any color out of it, but that's fine with me as long as it is not orange. Okay, here it is. You can barely see it. It's so wonderful that I finally have a very, very, very light bronzer. It is not peach. It's still quite neutrally. Now I am heaping that on there. I know it is hard to see, but it is just very, very pale bronzer. And I'm thankful for that. I love the fact that it is matte. It is not really matte, like completely flat. It has like a sheen to it, but no glitter. This other one is very glittery. So I love this new shade. They finally got us pale girls a nice new shade. So here it is as I applied it today. The advantage on this one being so very matte and so very light colored is that it sort of blends itself into your skin. It's and the advantage to layering it like I had to keep going back and dipping and layering, is that it really blends itself. You don't have that harsh brown line that you have to go back and try to work in and buff and erase out. The layers, putting layers on makes it easier to blend. It's blending itself. So I am really happy with this. Really thrilled. I think this is one of my newest go-to bronzers, out of my favorite bronzers even. This one is so super light, but without being peach or yellow. Absolutely love that. Here's another Hourglass product, another ambient product. This is one of their new blush shades, Euphoric Fusion Strobe Lighting Blush. This color is so pretty. This is like a berry, mixed in with, again, their ambient powder. And it's marbled and it's domed, as we see. We get plenty of product in there. I've been using this the last couple days and I absolutely love this color. It's sort of a very light lavender on the cheek, a very light berry lavender. Have it on right now. Let me show it to you. This one has a sparkle to it, so it sort of highlights itself. I like blushes that highlight themselves. I like sort of sheeny blushes. This one's a very pale pink. Very pale pink to lavender cast. There it is right there. I'm trying to collect more sort of berry colored blushes these days because I just don't have a lot of them, and I think they're very pretty. I don't have too many of them. So look at the sheen on it. Beautiful. Here's how it applied to the cheek. Very smooth, very glowy, your typical Hourglass glowy ambient type product. Really pretty. You can really layer this one because it is very light in color. You can really layer this one to get more color out of it. I did put a highlighter on my cheekbone today, and that is from NYX. This is the Duo Chromatic Illuminating Powder. The color is called Twilight Tint. It is a very intense purpley blue. So this is not the shine that you're seeing from the actual blush. This is from an actual highlighter. But before I put the highlighter on, there was quite a bit of sheen going on there. So finally, I have finally found, I think, my very favorite setting powder that looks illuminating, blurring, does not add color, is not matte, is not too illuminating. Some powders can become too illuminating. It is a pressed powder, so that's sort of unusual for me. But this is the new Urban Decay, the Illuminizer. And it has the holographic packaging. So pretty. Look at that. This is a really classy presentation here. Because look, you have a pop-up here. You press this button down here that says Naked, and it pops open. This does come with a sponge, and I'll show you the difference between application with a brush and application with this sponge that it came with. Look, it has UD on it. That is so classy. So this is an illuminizing powder. They say you can use it as sort of a highlight. You can put it on really heavily and intensely in one spot, or you can use it all over as an illuminating setting powder. It does not add color, even though it is a little on the beigey yellow side. It doesn't seem to add color to my face. I love this. So what I did with this today, and I'll show you swatches in a moment, I put this on with a brush. I used it as my actual setting powder. Previously to this, I have been using this as sort of an illuminating part of my contour, an illuminating and illuminizing part of my contour, the lighter part of my contour. I have been using it as more of a finishing powder on top of a previous setting powder. Today I went ahead and just used this as my setting powder, and it is not too illuminating and too brilliant and reflective. Some of them can get that way, but this one did not do that today as a full setting powder. I put it on my forehead, I put it across my nose and my cheekbones, and I put it around my mouth, and that is where I have lines, and that's where I have pores, and that's where I tend to powder. I tend to not really powder my cheeks with setting powder because I feel like that is kind of dry and aging looking. So I just powder the areas that I really need to stay nailed down, like around my mouth and my forehead and my cheekbones, to try to give me some gleam under there. This performs so beautifully. It is so smooth and it's so luminizing without being shiny or glittery. Let me show you on the back of my hand, or on the back of my hand. As you're looking at it in the package, there are glitter pieces in it. They are very, very subtle. I do not know why they put those in there. However, there, you're catching them right there. However, when you put this on with a brush, you don't get those. They don't show up. When you put it on with a sponge, they show up on your face. So what I did today when I put this on with a brush over most of my face, and then I went back because I felt like my chin was not quite luminous enough. Putting it on with a brush, I went back with this sponge and dipped in and just tapped more on my chin to get a little more intense luminization on my chin. And that worked really well. When you want to have it a little more intense, use the little sponge or a sponge to get a little more intense luminizing. Let me put some on the back of my hand. Dabbing some on with a sponge right here to get it a little more intense because it is hard to see. It is right through here. So there's a luminousness to it without being super illuminating, without being super metallic. Here's another spot of it right through here. I'll turn down the light so you can see them better. There we go. Just a nice, there's two spots right here and right here. You see that illumination? Perfect level of illumination without adding color or without being too metallic. Now this is put on pretty heavy on both of these. I did put it on pretty heavy. If you put it on lightly with a brush as a setting powder, you're going to get a little bit less of that metallic look that these two stripes here are getting and more of just illuminizing. So here's what this did for my skin today. When I was putting it on these areas, around my mouth, on my forehead, it was blurring out my lines and my pores. I don't have that a lot with a lot of setting powders. This was very blurring. It doesn't really say, I don't think, that it is too blurring, but that's what it was doing. It was blurring out my lines and my pores. Wasn't expecting that. This Urban Decay powder just gives sort of an ethereal look to your skin. It's very natural looking on, and I've noticed as you wear it, as the day goes on, it sort of melts into your skin and you're looking even more blurred and more natural. I love this powder. When I turn the lights down, you can really see how badly my foundation is not matching me today. I've been trying out the Dior Skin Nude BB cream, which I've tried before, and I thought I would just give it another try. It is so intensely pale that I had to darken it a little bit with some darkening drops, and I think I went too far. It's frustrating when you are so pale and you can't find your color. I have some new things that came in today. I got a big box from Nordstrom. They were having a thing where you spent $200 and you got this gigantic freebie bag full of deluxe samples. I mean, there are there are a couple of foil packs in there, but there's like 15 or 20 deluxe samples in there. Crazy, high-end, expensive stuff. So I had to do it. I had to spend the $200. And so I got some more colors from the Ombre Premier from Chanel, 2 more colors in the cream, and 2 more colors in the powder. I'm kind of so-so on the colors on these. I'm gonna have to play with them a little bit before I show them to you. That's kind of what's up next on my radar. Summer stuff from Lancome. Look at these colors. I'm ready to get these on my eyes. So that's what's to come, and thanks for watching as usual. Thanks for your support, and good night.